in this edition of WUCF Artisodes. A Central Florida singer with a passion for her art form.
What I love about opera is that it's bigger than life.
And a Grammy-winning artist who loves music for more than beautiful sounds.
You know, as a hobby, the ukulele or guitar or piano or singing, it brings a lot of joy.
It's all coming up on WUCF Artisodes. Giselle Bayes has made her mark in the world of opera. Now she's launching her career in new directions.
My name is Giselle Bayes. I'm from Miami, Florida, but I was raised in Orlando, and I sing opera.
I've always been interested in singing. My grandmother always encouraged me to sing and dance, and so did the rest of my family. And it just sort of grew into this obsession of mine in playing instruments. So since I was little, I can't even remember when I wasn't singing. I went to Dr. Phillips High School in the Performing Arts Magnet, and there I was able to take music theory, I was able to take music history, electronic music classes, piano classes. It set me up so well for the real world. And basically, this is like a little mini conservatory that I was able to go to before going to an actual conservatory. So it's pretty fantastic. What I love about opera is that it's bigger than life. It incorporates all art forms. There's something about singing without a microphone over an orchestra that is just incredible. I mean, who else does that? So I knew when I saw it, I'm like, I want to do this. That is pretty cool. And I mean, besides the story being beautiful and the music being some of the best music in the world, opera is just, it's huge. It's bigger than life. It's amazing. Maria. It's hard making a living in opera, not that it's not possible or that people don't, but you definitely don't do it for that reason. You do it because you have a crazy love for it. I'm here at Dr. Phillips High School speaking to the students because it's really important to me to educate, upcoming musicians. Shall come to you. A lot of singers nowadays are lacking the educational experience and the knowledge that they need in order to succeed and do well. Emmanuel.
Wow. You guys are... Clearly you love that song. Yeah. Like the whole energy changed right away. It's like, okay, now go sing the other one with that. That was amazing.
Nowadays, a lot of kids don't know about other genres. First thing I ask, who knows of an opera? Has anyone seen an opera? Just to hear, but then sometimes I'm surprised, especially here at DP, a lot of kids, they know a lot of stuff. They know, they're very good kids. Kids are just so open-minded and so fun and eager to learn. So it's really nice to have that energy, and it reminds me of why I'm doing this all the time, just seeing a kid who's so excited to do what I'm doing. I've tried making opera more current and more accessible to young people.
Basically what we got, he's got hip-hop, and then, where you're coming from with the opera and the vocal. What do you think about merging the two together?
Cool, thank you guys. No, good job to you guys. You guys like it? I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Opera was essential to everything I'm doing now because it gave me the confidence Taken a bit of a change in direction. I do a lot of writing and singing popular music now. You know, I still occasionally dabble with the opera, and I still train. That's very important to me because it keeps my voice healthy and allows me to use my technique in various genres. I've been writing my own music, working on my EP now. I just released my first music video.
Fever, where'd you run to? Fever, where'd you run to?
My new album is not operatic. It's a cover of the Black Keys' Fever.
Even let me live a dream.
That's just a little taste of what my music's going to be. I never close the door on anything. I wouldn't say I'm closing the door on opera. Just say I'm opening up a new door and staying here for a little bit.
Fever, they're misunderstood.
Thank goodness I still have opera, because without it, I don't know what I'd do.
Wouldn't leave you if I could.
Right now, I just have to follow my heart and all the doors that are opening up for me. Who knows what's in the future, but right now, I'm focusing on my music.
Fever, why won't you explain? Break it down again.
As part of WUCF's American Graduate Initiative, Artisodes proudly honors our Student Artist of the Week as we bring awareness to the dropout crisis and encourage Central Florida's children to succeed.
My name is Santiago Escobar, and I go to O'Galley High School. My inspiration for art just comes from just everyday things. And I like working with a lot of concepts, so that can be, you know, just absolutely anything. That's the thing that's just really, really nice about art. If I was adhering to my subjects and my concepts, all these would be extremely dark pieces. I mean, there would be no light at all. I mean, I might as well just paint the whole canvas black. As an artist, the aesthetics of my things I have to make, you know, be visually acceptable to other people. And, you know, it creates a sense of like satire almost in my things.
I see a passion for creating art. His interests are very diversified, and he's experimenting a lot, which is wonderful at his age. His diversity of subject matter and content-heavy work, it's not just I'm going to paint an apple. His work is well thought out, and he's constantly trying to improve his craft.
The motivation and everything comes from, obviously, like any other artist, like just things that are relevant to them. But I think it'd be a bit hasteful to kind of, you know, just go ahead and put a label on what I'm trying to make. I'm just waiting until I develop a lot more to be able to say this is the point that I'm trying to make. There will be a day when I do that, but it hasn't happened yet.
Artisodes congratulates Santiago Escobar of O'Galley High School, our Student Artist of the Week. Most have heard of Nathaniel Hawthorne's tragic tale, The Scarlet Letter. Opera Colorado is offering a new adaptation of this literary classic.
For the first time, Opera Colorado has commissioned the creation of a new opera. Based on Nathaniel Hawthorne's novel The Scarlet Letter, the story of a married woman's affair with a Puritan minister and their child born out of wedlock. It's firmly rooted in 1600s Puritan Massachusetts ideals, but the creative team behind Opera Colorado's production recognized a lasting significance in the work. Composer Lori Laitman.
Ever since it was published in 1850, it's remained relevant. It's remained relevant because of the strength of its characters and the interaction, and you have society pitted against an individual.
A full-scale production of The Scarlet Letter is slated for May 2016. But first, Opera Colorado's Young Artists, a group of pre-professional singers, presented a staged reading of the production. Charity Kopke is the director.
The Scarlet Letter is as a literary piece. There's a lot of questions that are left unanswered in the book. And that's the beauty of doing this as an opera, because those questions are sort of answered through character, through relationships between the characters. And the way that it's written, it's like poetry.
The dramatic differences between the characters is accentuated by the elements of opera, the qualities of the music, the power of the unamplified human voice, and how the performers interpret the material.
For example, when Hester in the opera, when she sings, her music tells a lot about her character. She is very strong, she never wavers in her opinion, and her music reflects that. Whereas Dimmesdale, the Reverend, his music kind of goes on the journey with him. It changes throughout the story.
The lead roles of Hester Prynne and Arthur Dimmesdale are sung by tenor Brett Sprague and soprano Leah Bobby.
When we work as artists, to start from new is a gift because we get to create these characters from the ground up. There are no previous performances to be compared with, and we get to really make it our own for the first time. And as young artists, that is an opportunity we rarely see.
I think the very exciting thing for me as a huge fan of modern opera and modern music, I get to work with a living composer, and that rarely happens.
Composer Lori Laitman is just as energized by the opportunity to collaborate with singers.
Everything I do is to try and illuminate the words and to dramatize them. And I want to create lines that are good for the singers to sing so that they want to sing them, but also by having them be singable, it makes their job easier in terms of communicating the words to the audience. My goal is always to serve the words as well as make something beautiful music.
But Charity Kopke recognizes people's perception of opera music is not always sublime.
When I talk to people about opera that have very little or no experience with it, I ask them to tell me, if you think of opera, what do you think? And the image that pops into everybody's head is the woman in the horned helmet screaming on stage, right?
Ah, Wagner's Brunhilde. That character and the epic opera she's a part of help to perpetuate the enduring stereotype of the fat lady singing. Opera Colorado works to put that to rest by hosting shorter events during the year. And its Young Artist program travels to schools throughout the state, exposing children to the art form.
And the reason I think so many people don't connect with it is because they don't know what it is. They only have this idea that society puts forth that it is a stuffy old art form that is dying. That couldn't be farther from the truth. It really is the best expression of the human condition, in my opinion.
What do you think the role of opera is today?
Opera showcases real, true human emotion in a way that no other art form does. Because it's grand and because it's big and because we can go over the top, we can go in some places emotionally that other art forms maybe can't do.
Daniel Ho is a Hawaiian-born Grammy-winning musician, but he doesn't want to be limited or defined by his instrument of choice.
I have a lot of original songs that in the Hawaiian language that I wrote with Amy Ku'ulealoha Stillman. I have a lot of instrumental songs as well that I've done for ukuleles, like guitar, piano. There's songs about Hawaii and a lot of singer-songwriter things. And my problem as an artist, as a performer, has always been identity. So if you come to a show, are you going to go to a uke show? Or are you going to go to a guitar show? Or are you going to hear a jazz piano thing? Or what is it going to be? And while it is inspirational for me as an artist, because my main instrument is really composition, so it isn't any instrument in particular, I'm always inspired to do something, and some music is great on a piano and some music is better on a uke, and vice versa. You can't ever get bored and you can't get tired, you know, of it. But I think it has also hurt in a branding identity sense where, you know, this guy kind of just does whatever he wants. I can honestly say that the first Grammy, I don't know when it was, but somewhere in the mid-2000s, was so unbelievable because we're sitting here in my bedroom, and this is where it was made. And I had no idea that anything but a major label would even be connected, associated with the Grammys in any way. So it was pretty unbelievable, and I was so thankful. It was completely unexpected, and it certainly has made a difference in what we've been able to do. I don't know how to say it. I don't like to look back. I'm really, really grateful, and I don't take it for granted, but I don't want to look at what's been done and just try to look forward and see how I can learn and grow and evolve as a musician. And, you know, I only have one lifetime to do that, so I gotta keep moving. Having the opportunity to design the instruments based on these concepts. And of course I talk to, you know, real percussionists and manufacturers and embracing and wood thicknesses and tones and all that, and get involved in the acoustic properties of the instruments as well. But it's a lot of fun to try to make sounds with unique instruments. You know, as a hobby, you know, the ukulele or guitar or piano or singing, it brings a lot of joy. It's healing. It's like a puppy. You know, if you had a rough day at work and you come home and you have a puppy or an ukulele, either one you don't have to feed, it makes you happy. And it's so important. And I think, you know, we all just want to be happy.
The Beatles took the U.S. by storm in the early 60s. Now, fans of all ages can experience Beatlemania as the Fab Four takes center stage at History Miami.
This exhibition is produced by the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles, and it's really the impact of the Beatles' arrival in the United States. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles, the title of the exhibition refers to the way that they were introduced at the Ed Sullivan Show. The Beatles first arrived in New York City in February 1964, and it was a great introduction to this incredible new style of music, new look at the future of music, really, rock and roll. People were enamored already by the Beatles, and when they arrived here, but people realized quickly their impact on music, and the numbers of people that even showed up at the airports, at the concerts, was overwhelming. When the Beatles first arrived in the United States, in New York and in Miami, what you saw was an incredible outpour of fandom. You know, you see all the teen girls and boys all over the airport, hanging over the railings, pouring out of windows, trying to get a glimpse of the Beatles getting off the airplane and getting into their cars.
Knowing that the Beatles were coming, we knew Love Me Do. My sister was totally in love with the Beatles, and so we heard all the songs, and when they came on and Ed Sullivan introduced them, she just screamed, along with everyone else in the studio audience during the whole performance, and that was it. And that was one of the great moments that one remembers
Beatles arrived in New York for the first time, they were escorted into the Pan Am press room. So right here we're recreating what it felt like, what it looked like. You know, Pan Am was the major airway at the time, and most people flew into the United States through Pan American Airways. So here we have a press room with the microphones and the logos in the back. So I'm standing in front of a replica. We kind of recreated what the stage looked like at one of the Ed Sullivan Show concerts. It had these large arrows pointing to the stage, real simple setup. Interestingly enough, they didn't travel with their drums. The drums that you see on stage were made just for the United States tour. One of the interactives in the exhibition is a Ringo Starr-led tutorial on a drum set. Put your headphones on and you'll have an electronic drum set, and he carries you through a few lessons on different rhythms that he uses and how to play a basic song. A few of the key pieces really in this exhibition include the jacket worn by Paul McCartney at Shea Stadium in 1965. The great thing is you look through these pieces, these artifacts, they're so personal. And some of them, you can tell how small, how tall they were. We have Ringo Starr's black coat that he wore in Abbey Road cover, and the famous cover when they're crossing the street. He's wearing that black jacket. We have John Lennon's original tiny little round glasses that he's famous for. These were too small, so these are the ones on the exhibit. Later on, he purchased a larger pair that he's famous for wearing in all his solo albums and later on in his career. The popular component of the exhibition is the oral history booth that we have set up. So you can come in and walk into a soundproof booth, and a display walks you through the steps to record your memories of the Beatles. So people can go in there and talk about the first time they heard a Beatles song, or the first time they heard them in concert, or their memories about the Beatles. And these are all recorded for posterity. The LA Museum, the Grammy Museum in LA will use these and provide them and make them available for people, for future generations. This exhibition not only covers the Beatles' impact and their musicianship here in the United States, it also covers their beginnings, their origins, starting in a small town, Liverpool, and also their influences. So you'll see some artifacts from Elvis Presley, you'll see Ray Charles' jacket, James Brown's clothing, stage outfits. And at first people say, well, so why are these things in the exhibition? And if you listen to their accounts on how they got started in music and the roots of their music, it's influenced by all these different artists. One of the things you take away from this exhibition is that when you walk through and you realize that the Beatles were so popular and they had an incredible tour schedule. Within 2 years they toured 30 or 40 different places. These days a band usually only does one concert a week. So that led really to their burnout. After 2.5 years of touring the United States, they didn't come back. A couple of reasons they cited were too many fans. Too many people, they couldn't even hear themselves play. The technology was different back then, the speaker systems, the microphones, so they were on stage playing and half the time they couldn't even hear themselves. And all those things led them to start thinking about really how they wanted to approach their music. Eventually it led to different styles of music being played. So the Beatles as a Fab Four only lasted for 2.5 years.
That's all for this week on WUCF Artisodes. Thanks for watching. For more arts and culture, visit our website at wucftv.org/artisodes, where you can find feature videos and more.